Welcome to Between Data and Risk podcast. Today our guest is Jaime Jay, founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistants, who will be discussing with us the role of processes in structuring business operations. Stay tuned. If you're a business owner or senior manager, you probably had more than enough about all the wonderful opportunities awaiting you in the era of digitalization.
Whether it is big data, cloud, data science, or whatever buzzword is currently trendy.
If you would like to hear someone dissecting these claims and showing you what it actually takes to improve business processes, you're in the right place.
This is Between Data and Risk, where we discuss real-life examples of what works and what doesn't in the world of business operations.
Hello, I'm Artur Guja, Cognition Shared Solutions Chief Risk and Strategy Officer, and with me is my co-host, your friendly neighborhood data guy, Dr. Marian Siwiak.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to this episode of Between Data and Risk, and today we'll be talking about the importance of business processes. We're excited to have with us our guest, Jaime Jay, founder of and managing director of Bottleneck Distant Assistants and Live with Bottleneck podcast, a veteran U.S. Army paratrooper who received an Army Achievement Medal for meritorious service, who agreed to share some of his experiences with us. Hello, Jaime.
Well, hello.
Jaime, we are so excited to have you with us. I must say that Jaime Jay is the person who is behind our existence as a podcast. He inspired us, and he also gave us some processes. Jaime, maybe you don't mind saying, do you do it for a living, inspiring podcasts? I know that you inspired more than just us.
Oh my gosh. I guess yes, and I don't know if I do it for a living. I do it for passion. I absolutely love it. I think podcasting is a fantastic medium, and tons of kudos. Hats off to you for getting this thing launched and out as quick as you can have. You don't see this normally, so man, fantastic work on this.
Can you mention with whom did you work as well? Because Jaime is behind some really big names in podcast world.
Absolutely. So Seema Vasa of Data Gurus, we helped her get her show launched up and running. And we also helped the one and only Christopher Lochhead, Category Pirates, also author of Play Bigger. We helped launch his show and continue to support him in his endeavors for his #1 rated Apple podcast that is called Follow Your Different.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. I want to say that Jaime helped us by really helping us structure the way we approach to, preparing this podcast, and that we are able to do it. It's only thanks to his excellent advice on giving us a process of preparing this podcast in such a way that it's timely but we are able to do some eating and sleeping in the meantime. But I know we put a trust in Jaime, not only because he looks like a Santa and like he came bearing gifts, but because in our discussion I noticed that in his Bottleneck's Distant Assistants, he's very process-oriented. As you may or may not notice before, me and Artur, we are very much excited by processes, by making them more efficient and how to improve them. But what Jaime showed me, it looked like he's as crazy on processes as we are. I know that personal assistants who work for Jaime, who are prepared to work with clients by Jaime, they spend, if I remember correctly, 90 days being prepared. Jaime has a huge library of processes that assistants need to learn by heart.
Why don't we ask Jaime? Jaime, can you tell us more about Bottleneck Distance Assistants and your vision behind it?
Absolutely, and I'll talk about it from a shared background. I think that we all three of us share from a systems and processes point of view. It's kind of ironic, but the people that have the systems understand how powerful that is with regards to delegation and leveraging your time and being able to create new and venture off in one direction, knowing that and having the confidence that everything's going to be taken care of on this side. And there may not be things that are as exciting for that one person. And so therefore they can delegate that to somebody else who is really excited about that and can thrive in different aspects of the business. And so that's kind of the core of Bottleneck Distant Assistants. And I mentioned Lockhead earlier, Christopher Lockhead, but he helped me create a brand new category design. And he's the godfather of category in distant assistants, which is similar to virtual assistants, but we tweaked it. And we want distant assistants to really bring home. All of them are trained in documentation management and in workflow management and delegation management. And these are all things that are good buzzwords and people feel good about them. But Bottleneck, we took it one step further. We actually make them work. So I love asking this question is how many people, when I talk to them, how many things have you tried to do or that you've started that you haven't done that you really wish you could have finished? And they go, oh, I've never had anybody say, oh, I've finished everything. Never once has that ever happened. They start going, yeah, right? Oh my gosh, I wish I could finish this. If I could finish that, oh, this would do so much for us. If I could finish that, I just don't have the time. So I tell people, think of Bottleneck. You are the creator. You create. That's what you're here for. Think of Bottleneck as that execution arm. We're the doers. And we will document everything that we do so you have the confidence to know that you can delegate that with authority and confidence, knowing that's going to get done. So that's what Bottleneck is. We get clients, they hire dedicated distant assistants from us in the role of either a personal assistant, project coordinator, or customer service representative, bookkeeper, things like that. And then we just kind of coach them along and help them grow their business. And I like to say grow their business the right way. As you guys know, systems and processes it's fundamental, it's foundation, it's everything in a business. And if you're experiencing growth in the business right now and you're starting to identify those friction points, well, without any structural foundation in place, how do you know what works and what doesn't work?
This is you're preaching to the choir. We are exactly on board with this. But I would like to kind of ask you a slightly provocative question because I know Marian is very kind of sometimes complains about certain companies where the company employee seems to have a big binder of processes. And when they're asked to do something, they flip to the right page and start following the process. And the moment your case deviates from the process, they're stumped. They freeze, right? So how do you kind of prevent that kind of and maybe leave creativity for unknown decisions, unknown processes?
Actually, this is one of my favorites. I say go for it. Make a mistake. Do something that is out of your comfort zone. What I've found is when I first started, I was documenting everything myself. Hired on an assistant, now 49, and they all do their own workflows now. And the reason why is they're spending all the time there. They're the ones that are kind of experimenting on what to do and what doesn't work and what does work. Not me. I'm doing something else over here. But they know if they make a mistake, it's not going to bankrupt the company. It's okay. They tried something new. It didn't work. Let's fix that, move in a different direction and see what does work. This way, they're continually improving the process. And I absolutely love this. There's two massive, fascinating byproducts that occur from this that I didn't even realize in the beginning. Number one, it makes them feel important. They have a voice in the company. They can make a decision without me micromanaging that decision, which is huge because The second byproduct is they end up staying here longer. They end up loving what they're doing. There's so much talk about turnover and the Great Depression and things like that right now. And if I were to say the underlying common denominator for people leaving an organization, well, the number one reason why people leave is because they don't like their direct supervisor. They don't like them. There's a rift. But I would say it's due to a lack of systems, processes, and workflows. It's because the systems aren't there that people don't feel confident in their role and their responsibilities. Therefore, what happens when you don't feel comfortable? You move, you get out of the corner, right? If you try to do anything you can except for feel that negative feeling. So hopefully that answered your question.
What you said, it sounds like half of our discussions or half of our actually sales pitches. It's like you give people decision to make. You need to give them knowledge about what are possible consequences of this decision, so they have courage to make this decision. We structure it in a way of calling calling in the risk frameworks, and that's Arthur's excellent job in creating frameworks which relate to each decision, where people understand, okay, this can go wrong, this can go wrong, but this is the risk tolerance. So yeah, this decision in these parameters shouldn't bankrupt the company. It gives people courage, and we are preaching it all the time. We're trying to explain people, okay, you have your process, but your process is not just the list of actions. Between actions there are decisions which need to be informed. You need to know, to have data, and need to give people this freedom of operation, the constraints where they will feel safe. If you just tell them, oh, do whatever you want, most of them will just stick to what they know, and they will never improvise, never try to improve anything, because they will be paralyzed. It's boring. This conversation.
but you can make it exciting, though. You really can, because when someone really gets into this and they feel that what they're doing is like, wow, what I'm doing is making, holy cow, because I did this, the company's doing so much better. And they actually get invested in what it is that they're doing, and they do get excited. And it's really simple too, because you have to make definitions. You have to define what it is that you're trying to do. As simple as it may seem or sound, if there's no definition behind it, in this case, making a decision, well, what is making a decision? Me or any person on my team. And I will say this, go ahead, if you're listening, call in randomly to my assistant or somebody on my team. I'll happily give you the number 417-233-0836 and ask them, how do you make a decision? And they will say, number one, is it good for the company? Number two, is it good for the team? And number three, and only then, is it good for our clients? And the reason why is because if the company is not sound structurally or financially, how in the world can I say, if I missed a payroll or I'm negative to how can I count on them to do what's their responsibility within their given role to take care of our clients? I can't do it. There's a breakdown. So in them making their own decision, they think this is going to be a good decision for the company because it's either going to make them more money or it's going to improve our culture. And is it good for our team? Well, the team is going to love this. They've given me input. They've given me feedback. They love this decision. And number three, because of those two things, it's really going to help our client out if I do this. And that's how our team members make decisions so that I don't need to be there.
So you have a lot of trust in your team, and this is, I think, the crucial. But earlier today, actually, Marian and I spoke to someone who disagreed with us on knowledge transfer. We talked about knowledge transfer, and that person disagreed with us and said knowledge transfer is not possible. You can only share your knowledge and share your vision. You cannot transfer it because the other person will not have the same amount of investment in that decision as you have. But you seem to to trust your team that they do have the same amount of investment as you do? How do you ensure that they have the same amount of investment as you do? Because you're very passionate, and I love this. How do you instill that passion to make sure that they do that?
Artur, that's a fantastic question. I actually have no doubt in my mind that not only do I trust them to take this information and soar that, they're going to do way better than I ever anticipated. Why? Because they own it. It's theirs. It's they understand my tone, my voice. They understand the vision and the mission. But if they don't align with that mission or vision or understand my tone or my voice, they're going to splinter off from the rest of the group. That's not a person I'm going to be delegating a lot of information to. We had somebody before who was an amazing podcast editor. And I said, oh my gosh, please document that because I want to show these other editors what you're doing. It's amazing. The person said, I don't want to give away my secrets. I respect that. Totally respect that. The next day, he was no longer working with us. Right? Anybody that comes into this organization, they document, they share, because right now, my personal assistant that I hired initially 4 years ago is now our director of operations. It took me almost 90 days. I think it was 120. It's three or 4 months to train her up. Well, when she moved on, I got a new assistant. It took that assistant 2 weeks. And guess what? I didn't do any of the training. I have so much confidence that the team, once they get to make their own decisions, find that investment into this organization, it's theirs. Just as much as it is mine. While we do have a hierarchy, there's a flat line of decision-making going on. They don't need my approval to do something. They might ask questions because they may not know, but they're focused on these things way more than I am. And who in the world am I to tell a graphic designer on what to design or a WordPress web developer on what to develop? They're the experts, not me. Is it my company? Do I pay the bills? Absolutely. But I can never be where I'm at today without them taking leadership roles in their own responsibility.
It's unbelievable. I must say that most of the times when we talk to people, maybe because we mostly work with big companies, there is so much politics involved that such level of ownership is hard to imagine. We try to advocate it, like let people do their jobs. Like I was quoting Steve Jobs that you don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. You hire smart people to tell you what to do. But it's also like, you hire people. You want they need to want to do stuff. If they don't want to do stuff, all you will get is smoke and mirrors. They will pretend that they will do. You will get the absolute minimum that you are able to enforce. Reminds me, I've been working in one corporation, and we were closing down a big project, and I called the project team and I informed them as soon as I learned. It's like, okay, guys, we have time until March. Let's say it was 4 months ahead. And honestly, we will close a lead on this project and we will bury it somewhere next to radioactive waste. And a colleague of mine who've been leading this team earlier, he jumped on me. He said, "Oh, why did you tell them? How could you? It's like, how you will motivate them?" I said, now it's my problem, not yours. But if you ask me, I just told them that if they want to put something on their CV, it's like the last chance. And the team increased efficiency by 20% easily. They just wanted to finish. They could see that I'm open with them, that I'm not trying to manipulate them into anything. I didn't need a promise of extended contracts or anything like promise of a bonus or something. It was just, we knew what we wanted to do. It was as much my project as theirs, and we just wanted to see it, let's say, be born before it was buried. But still, the work was done excellently. But I remember the shock in the ripples that it had. It's like, how could you tell that?
Yeah, there's one of the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please, Jamie.
Well, you're the guest. I talk with Artur so much.
Well, what you just said made me think of something else too, because we are always trying to reinvent or invent, I should say, new ways of creating attraction and motivation and keeping people going. I cannot tell you the number of people that have tried to hire away team members here to come work for them and pay them even more. It's never happened, ever happened, at least that I know of. It's never happened. That said, every single January, we just talked about it in our Q4. That's one of the things we're prepping for Q1. Every single January, every single person on the team rewrites their roles and responsibilities, basically their job description. Has their interest changed throughout the year? Did something impact them in such a way where their creative decided to take them in another direction? If so, let's rearrange their role. It's also the reason why whenever I interview, which is not too much anymore, but whenever I interview somebody, I ask them, what do you want to do after you quit here? Now, I've had people kind of push back on me. They say, that's a terrible question. And I would simply ask why. For me, they might say, oh, no, I really want to work at Bottleneck. No. After you're done working here, what's your dream? Like, what would this be a nice step for you? Well, I want to go be a musician. Okay, fantastic. That gives me information that I need to know. This person's going to be here. They know I'm excited about their future. They're going to work their hindquarters off for me for another year and a half, maybe 2 years, and then they're off to their music career. Or they may say something along the lines that, I want to own my own business one day. Is there a way that I could create a role within Bottleneck, because I really like this person, to where they could feel like maybe they own a piece of the business in the future? Maybe there's some way that we can build a role for them so that as they move from personal assistant to project coordinator to project manager to operations manager to director of operations, now all of a sudden, maybe they can make a little something here and kind of harness the power of being their own entrepreneur. What can we do? And by asking those types of questions, it goes all the way back to what we first started in systems, processes, and workflows. Because every time we do something as if it's the last time we're ever going to do it. And what that means is we document. The systems is the big circle. That's all the different departments. The processes are how each things get done. It's a medium-sized circle for each department. And then the workflows. That's the step-by-step. And as you mentioned before, in the workflows, you have the how-tos, step 1, step 2, step 3, but you also need decision-making. Well, if I make a call to somebody, Jamie, when do I follow up? Or Artur, when is the best time for me to call back out? I don't know if you ever had somebody reach out to you and go, what should I do next? What do you want me to do? Well, if you can make a decision on what if scenarios to where if you make a phone call, you get no answer, follow back up in 2 days. If you get an answer, what happened? Did they say yes, do this? Did they say no, do this? And you can actually make decision trees with decision logic. And it's so amazing what we can do. And here's the best part about it. I don't make it. My team does. Because they're involved in that every single flipping day.
And yeah, it's another part is putting. We spoke about this trust with the president of North Idaho College, Dr. Nick Swain, and he also put a lot of trust in his people. And he said that they started to do things that were just hanging in meetings for years, and he just told them, okay, try it, let's see what will happen. Just stop talking about it, stop overthinking, just if you will do it wrong, we will correct it. Just go. And the things he started in August there, and he already made some changes, some things which were clogged, bottlenecks were removed by allowing people to remove them.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you spoke about, Jamie. Allowing people to fail, and with the kind of the envelope around it, which prevents them from doing any real harm should things go wrong. Right? You define that envelope, and you allow them to make their own decisions within this. But I wanted to ask you. You mentioned about people making their own decisions, and you're giving them quite a lot of freedom. How do you ensure that you still have some strategic oversight above this? Because you cannot just let them loose and come back in 3 years' time to see what happened.
Yeah, that would be pretty. You might as well sell the company at that point, right? If you're going to be going through. But I think there's a couple of things that goes on with this. Of course, we have weekly meetings. And we always keep our eye on the ball. What's the target? What's the goal? What are we doing? Every quarter, we have a detailed quarterly review of the previous quarter. And here's what we want to accomplish. Here's the 4 main things we want to accomplish. And as long as everybody understands, hey, we have our vision and our mission, that's pretty standard. It gets changed and tweaked a little bit as times change, we learn more. But basically, that's pretty true. What does change are the dynamics of the operations within the business, because we're working with different vendors. We have new clients. We're growing. We're trying to do different things. So in the decision making, in my inside mind, my decision making process, I also understand that this is where we're trying to, these are the objectives we're trying to achieve. So my decision has to be in line with that. If my decision is not in line with it, then, I'm not part of this organization. I'm not flowing to be part of it. And it's a big deal. And here's the other thing. Once you start giving somebody the power to make their own decisions, as small as this may seem, they become so invested in that role that they do align with that vision. And I always say, if I'm charging up this hill to take the flag down at the top of the hill, and I have, 100 people with me, and they're going in 99 different directions, we're not going to achieve much. But if we have 100 people and we're going in 99 different ways up that hill, but we all understand what the vision is and what the mission is, we all want to take that flag, there's nothing that's going to stop us. And that's how we kind of get people to buy into, hey, this is what we do. And that's how we don't lose the voice, the tone, the mission that we're trying to achieve. So we keep a weekly touch on that, and then a quarterly review. And I think if people can do that, and by the way, people love showing up to our meetings because they're not just dumb old meetings. We have fun. They're entertaining. A different person leads the meeting all the time. We have training. So our graphic designer might show us, hey, this is what I do when you assign a project to me. And then everybody else goes, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was so much work. Everybody has buy-in at certain levels. And here's the cool part about that. That person that did the training now feels even better because everybody cares about what I do, and I love what I do. You can see it's just cyclical like that. And that's how we keep the ball rolling, so that we don't lose any messaging along the way.
I asked the same question to Dr. Swain because he's also an Army vet. And I was really curious how much of this, I would say, small unit tactics and operational freedom comes from having this experience. He said, in the Army, you have your resources, you have your deadline, and it's do or die. And there is no value in following just, steps. That's what I also said back then. To my knowledge, one of the reasons why the Ukraine is doing so well, it's trained by Americans in small unit tactics and this flexibility coming from trusting your NCOs with actual decision-making process. So I'm curious, as a civilian through and through, like, did your background in the army also, contribute to the way you operate? Like, okay, there is this task, we have, decisions, these are yours, now go, do or die. Maybe not that harsh, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and to answer that, long story longer, absolutely, unequivocally, 100%, yes. I even reference the military in my book that I wrote about systems and processes.
Which
everything.
one? If you maybe our listeners would want to read it.
Quit repeating yourself, right?
Oh, the main one.
Quit repeating yourself. So that's a really good question, because there's so many acronyms and everything in the Army. And if you look at internally in my business, we have ISP, LOA, all these things. And we know not to talk about this in the general public because they won't understand that. But internally, where did I learn that from? The military, right? So, yeah, a lot of
the corporations. The corporations also are full of acronyms, and to my knowledge, half of it serves just to cover, I would say, lack of the actual meaning behind that. Arthur, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that in corporations acronyms they have a bit different meaning. It's just, if you have your ISPs and you met your KPIs and you did things on your ASAP or FUBAR or whatever.
Well, then by extension for the military, though, I think the step by step. And I was infantry. I was 11. I was a mortar. 11 Charlie was my MOS. But what we learned, we had to do things in a certain order. Now, the way I may have done it, our gun team may have done it a little bit differently than another gun team, and maybe we achieved a goal a little bit sooner because we worked as a team or as an element independent of someone else, but we basically had the same workflow to follow. You could literally see when we would run out and we'd line up 4 guns side by side, and we'd run out to line up to get the gun level on where we had to shoot. And you're looking through the little peephole thing. I forget what it's called, but you got the things, everything's getting lined up, and you could see the same thing was happening, but one team would win. One team was a little bit faster than everybody else, and that's because maybe that team jived a little bit better. I think that's probably what I learned most, was problem solving and learning that, hey, it's okay if there's a set of rules here, they're there for a reason. And I didn't feel locked in. I didn't feel like I have to do this. I was like, I get to do this. And here's the step-by-step process, get it done. But always pay attention to the process. And when you find hiccups or stresses along the way, find ways that can tweak that. And I know it happened in the military. I saw certain issues with some of the things that we were doing. And I brought that up to our LT and let him know, what if we tried this? Being so receptive, we would try it. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, but he was receptive. And I would have followed that guy into any battle, because he was such a great leader, because he listened. And I love the word listen. I studied it for a whole year, and I came up with my own word. Listen means listen intentfully and soulfully to engage notably. So I love listening. And I think he was probably the person that kind of catapulted the rest of my life. I was 20 years old when I learned that lesson.
It's interesting, because we noticed that we understood correctly, we were actually trying to understand what it means, but you guys are like discovering a word or working on a word for a year. It's like a habit of yours that you take a word and you chew it up until it's, probably resembles something a bit different, maybe a little eaten. But like, what's the thought behind this process? How do you chew the word, and like, what is the goal of the process?
Well, it started in 2018 when I came up with my first word of the year, because I was having a hard time keeping my eye on the road, my eye on the ball, so to speak. And so I had to learn how to focus, which became my first word, focus, finding opportunities by creating uninterrupted strategy sessions. And I really had to focus in on what was happening. And before that, I was oh, squirrel, squirrel. I was having a really hard time doing that. And so what we did is we were very intentional about the word focus. So every meeting we'd have a little focus session. And that happened every single week for 52 weeks. And that just we understood the power of focus, the power of showing up and being intentional. And we thought, man, that worked out so good. What's our next word of the year? Oh, well, I talk too much. I need to listen more. Well, let's think about listening. Is there something about listen? And then we got into that and we broke down each letter so that we could really spend some time on every single aspect of that word. And it just started becoming habit to us. And each year we kind of had a theme to kind of follow. And, it just turned out to where it just became fun after a while.
What was 2021? Because I know what was the word for the rest of the world in 2021. What was yours?
My word in 2021, kindness. Kindness illuminates natural decency, creating neoteric energy with selfless statements.
Wow, this I really admire. It must really be deep in your mind, since you can just roll it out, and it does show that you've really embedded it in your psyche to such an effect that it not only is an acronym, but it really becomes part of how you think.
Yep. And every year we share the words that we're studying on our website. So you can go in there and each letter we'll break down and we'll define what that letter means to us. And those are different steps throughout the year. That's included, by the way, in our KPIs and our goals and our quarterly objectives and all of that stuff. So we kind of bring things full circle, and it gives everybody something to hold on to and to grasp. It's we're all in this boat and we're all rowing together, as opposed to one person rowing over there and another person jumping out the side of the other boat. So it gives something for us to grasp onto.
I'm really interested because people who about your clientele, who is really using your services, who sees the value of having, because I would expect that the most busy people, they are some, I would say, free agents. I don't know, artists or people who have this free spirits working on their own. The other segment that I would think of is people on senior managers and C-level executives. But I can't imagine them, even though they probably would find it useful. I have troubles imagining for the organizational reasons using your services. So who is your because everybody could use a good process and right hand knowing the processes. I know that it's a gold. If you have this person who is organizing your time, who knows how to organize things according to processes and understanding the priorities and like really engaged, it's half of the success. So long story short, like who is your main? Who should give you a call after this episode?
So any agencies, so real estate agencies, SEO agencies, advertising agencies, they do a lot of work where we would fit in really, really, really good with them. Also entrepreneurs. But entrepreneurs that are in a growth phase, they've been around for at least 3 years. They've gone through some of the initial, maybe even sometimes startups, but even then I'm a little hesitant to work with startups. But mostly it's people that have been around for a couple of years. They're experiencing growth and they're starting to hit some friction points, and they're starting to drop the ball. And maybe some of their clients are starting to get upset with them. These are the people that we can really, really help, because these are the people that are doing business really well. They're going out there, they're getting the business and they're growing, but they don't have the time to document, to create that foundation for those systems and processes. And anybody that says, you know what, just hire me a rock star and I'll get it taken care of, or I can just do it myself, I can get it done faster. Those are the two mindsets right there that my hope and goal is to change, because those are the people we can help most. Those are the people that really need what it is that we can do. If they create and they haven't finished everything that they wanted to finish, that means that they haven't gone out and executed against their ideas. Hire Bottleneck, and we'll be that person that goes out and does what it is that you want to create.
We didn't have such salesy episode yet, but I'm absolutely glad that we do, because what you're preaching is also what we do. So let the love spread. Yes, people need processes, and we also now think very much of getting to startups in the growth phase. We had a couple of clients like that, and maybe it's a niche, because people, what we found, but that's why we spoke about the knowledge transfer, and maybe there is the topic we should touch upon, because you have a core team and they know what they do, and they work well as a well-oiled machine, and then they need to hire 50 people. And all of a sudden, the grease falls off and the sand gets in, and people who know well how to do, they don't have time to teach. They don't have time to, as you said, document what they are doing. And if they try to pass it, somebody is making the same mistakes that they did 100 times before they found 101st way, and they are angry, like, why it doesn't work? Like, it's obvious that you need to do it. Okay, it wasn't obvious for you 2 years ago, all right? But that's like, do you structure somehow extracting the knowledge of what needs to be done from your clients? Let's say I am a creative person. I don't know, I want to focus on making a podcast, and I would like someone to take care of executing all that stuff around it. Let's manage it. I want to think about questions and beautiful words that I will be using. I need to learn half of them from a dictionary before each episode. So do you have a process for extracting the knowledge from people? How do you approach that? If there is completely new niche, like, the completely new business, I understand that you may have some templates, like, okay, if it's a sales business, probably your people can even improve what they do because they already seen multiple businesses running. The question is completely new business, like, I don't know, space company, they create little rockets that go to the sun. They want to hire people that will help with that. What do you do?
I think it's the same thing. And this is probably going to be an unpopular answer. I would reckon it would be. However, have you ever heard that saying, work on your business, not in your business? Have you ever heard that? No,
I can't say I did. What does it mean?
So people say they come, I've heard it a million times before. And at a certain point, I kind of get it. I think, yes, work on your business, not in it, meaning 30,000 foot view, going out and, talking with you two and being on podcasts and doing things like that. That's more high level, right? That's creating awareness. Mm-hmm. That's kind of trying to reach out and share the message with people and learn more on how you might be able to improve the growth of your company and things like that. Wherein if you're working in your business, you're literally in it. Like, I'm actually building out a nurture sequence for an email campaign, or I'm actually typing out the workflow for blah, blah, blah. I am a huge, huge, huge believer to work in your business. Every single person needs to work in your business. You should never be that business owner where you're too good to work in your business and you have other people to do that stuff for you. However, I do think there's a certain time and point when you've been in the trenches long enough where you've earned the right to work on your business. However, what you were just talking about, I feel, I'm the very first person that created a workflow in this company. I'm the very first person that created a system and a process and a workflow. I literally went, okay, the first time I clicked a mouse button, am I going to do it every time I click a mouse? Yeah, why not? Because and I figured all that out, and I actually was doing all these things. But now I don't do that. Somebody else does that. They do the workflows. So now I'm able to work on my business. And I think that's exactly how you do it. To answer your question, again, it's probably not going to be the most popular answer, but I think you go back to the basics and that's how it's done. I've earned the right to work on my business now because I spent I started this in 2006. Many years I've been in the trenches. And it was only the last couple of years that I've been able to kind of reach outside of that. And in very much the same way, too, people need to understand it's not a 3-month or a 6-month deal. When you begin this process of building or this systems, processes, workflows, you will forever be touching and improving upon. Technology changes, people change, things change. You may find a different way of getting some. You need to update those systems and processes. I mean, we do it monthly here. Every single month we update our processes, every single month without fail, because something comes up that we learn that we didn't know before. But if you can establish that foundation early on, that's the key. That's pretty hard to do. It takes some time, especially in a startup, especially if you're going to go out and hire 100 people. Hire that one person, that is really good. They're really good administratively, but they understand what it is you're trying to do, and have them support you in this journey to kind of build out, okay, this is our vision, this is our plan. We need to hire 100 people. Well, let's break this down one at a time. What departments are we looking at? What needs to happen? What's the objectives here? How does all of that work? And then you can get that person to kind of start documenting all of those processes by having conversations with you. That's what I did here. It started with two people, mm-hmm. And not that we're huge, but if someone came to me right now and said, I need to hire 100 assistants tomorrow, I could do it. And I would have all the confidence in the world, knowing that we could pull it off.
And I guess it all comes to this this confidence again that the people are actually able to deliver, because by giving what you mentioned about giving the people the ability to document their own processes and own those processes, that prevents them from becoming drones who are just following a script. And then because very often, my history is in big corpos, and very often we had policies and procedures, and one of two things always happened infallibly. Either the policy and process was a very nice document that sat somewhere in a drawer, and no one really referred to it much because it wasn't reality. People did their own thing, or the complete flip side, there was a process, and people literally went point 1A. Today, I'm going to do that, right? It doesn't matter that it's completely irrelevant, but that's what's written, so I'm doing it, right? And this is because people didn't feel that ownership. So this kind of brings it all together, what you said before, that giving the people the ownership actually makes this work.
Absolutely.
I have a question, maybe a tricky one. Because when we speak with people who we spoke to a gentleman who was working in a startup. He moved there from the corporation, and when we asked him, okay, what was the main difference? What did you notice? What did you like? And he said, the energy. Like, we tried to do something. We failed in the end, but still it will stay with me, until the now. Looking at you, it's. I wish I had so much energy when I was 20 years old. I'm not talking now. But do you think, is there a way to somehow transfer this energy, this ability to innovate, to own, to big corporations, right? From your experience in working with different companies, and I believe running your podcast, you spoke with many different people. Like, let's say that I would be like C-level executive in a really big corp, and I would say, Jesus, I would like my people to be so engaged as Jaime Jay says. I bought them some perks on, they have, I don't know, discount on luxury clothing, and they have like fruit in the bowls every Thursday, and still they don't, have the same level of engagement as Jaime. Like, what do I do?
Listen intentfully and soulfully to engage notably. That's what it is. I wholeheartedly believe this. To motivate anyone, get them talking to you and give them a platform that they can chat with you. Once a quarter, I have one-on-ones with every single person on the team. And my whole job is to ask them, how are you? What can I do to support you? Is there anything else that you see in this organization that I might have the power to change that would make your life even better? Open-ended questions, and then shut up. You will be amazed at, and there's a theme here, right? It's all about giving them a voice and letting them know that I care about what, and I legitimately care how they feel and how they're treated. And we don't have a work-life balance. I don't believe in that. We have life. That's it. There's just life balance. How do you have a balanced life? Well, I don't want you to have to go, oh gosh, I have to go into work today. I got to do systems and processes. I want you to say, I get to go in and have fun with this thing. I get to do whatever I want with it. And by the way, I'm getting paid for this. This is awesome. And I think it's listening. I seriously believe that in my heart of hearts. No matter what position they have, if you can listen to what they think and what their ideas are, and you know who their family is. If they're not feeling well, I know my assistant had a 102-degree temperature yesterday. Did she come in? Heck no. Rest. Take care of yourself. It was her mom's birthday last weekend. I hope she had a great time. I really wanted to talk to her about it, but I didn't talk to her until today. How was your weekend? It was amazing. And she went into everything that they did. And I can promise you right now that she would turn down the next job offer that came just for the simple fact that I listened. It's amazing.
It's such a nice contrast from one of my previous managers who thought that one-to-ones were an opportunity for her to vent her frustrations at her employees. I remember one-on-ones that I had where for 40 minutes of the one-on-one she would just be talking, and I just sat there. I think that the key here is that you really believe in this, because I heard so many times people say I'm a manager who listens, and then they go on talking, but you actually listen, and it's. I think it really does require to the CEO who kind of Marian mentioned. I think, if I understand your kind of thought process correctly, I would say just really believe in it, because otherwise it's just not going to work. This is not some slogan that you can buy for 400 quid on the marketplace. This is something you have to invest yourself in before other people get invested in it.
I think something needs to occur too. To really, really set in to believe into something. Honestly, I shouldn't even say honestly. There's no dishonest about this. But when I started this, I started this company to make money. I wanted to be a millionaire. Like I went into this thing. Oh man! Oh my gosh! Look at that profit margin. Oh man! Which, by the way, is not much, as much as I thought it was. However. And then all of a sudden, it was a Saturday, I got a phone call. I think I told you guys this story, but this changed my life. And it gave me the energy to really believe in this and be transparent, because this person called and I thought, okay, this person hired somebody from us 90 days ago. He probably wants to get rid of them. That's my mindset going into this. And I'm like, what the heck's wrong with me? Well, he said, Jamie, I said, what are you doing calling me on a Saturday? Jamie, I just wanted to call. I know, I promised I wouldn't be working. This is the first day I've taken off since I've hired my assistant. The first Saturday I've taken off in over a year since I started this business because of this assistant. I just wanted to let you know I'm sitting here on the porch with my wife and my kid. And I was like, whoa, well, what are you going to do? He goes, well, tonight I'm going to take him out to dinner and we're going to go watch a movie. And that's what made me think of the ripple effect. Because now this entrepreneur that has been so busy in his world, he's had no time for family. Now, because his assistant has calmed his life down and replaced a lot of that work, now this person is able to go out and take that, and he was pretty successful, a couple million a year he made in his marketing agency. And now he's taking that money and spending it on another entrepreneur's business. So that entrepreneur can take better care of their team, their clients, and then he's going to go spend it in another entrepreneur's business. This is what I coined the ripple effect for us. And as if that wasn't enough to motivate me, the phone wrestles away and his wife goes, "Jamie, thank you for giving me my husband back."
Wow.
And I was like, what? And I think that was it. That's what I needed. This was so much more than what I thought it was. And my team sees that. They know that they're out there and they work so hard because they're changing a human being's life. Somebody that goes from being so stressed to really enjoying their family and doing whatever it is. This person, by the way, now has over 50 people working for him. At the time, that was the first hire. So it was pretty amazing seeing the impact of something we created completely affect somebody in a positive way. And now that I have that, there's no stopping my motivation for reaching out and taking care of somebody. And because of, I think, my example there, our team follows suit. And they know that because they're going to do this thing, no matter if it's a graphic design or if it's whatever, it's contributing to improving someone else's life. And if you can find something like that, then I believe there's no stopping you. And that's where kindness comes in. When we studied kindness in 2021, this is what we learned. It's about giving back and finding that human aspect. And that's the other thing that I hate about the word virtual assistant, because it's like robots and chatbots, and we're real live human beings. And I think that's
the virtual suggests it's not real. It's like it's the name of the virtual, non-existing, just somewhere ephemeric.
That's why they're distant assistants, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have one question and one maybe comment with a question if you agree with my comment. The question is, what is the mission and vision of your company? Spell it out loud.
Okay, so I can literally spell it out. We have a philosophy, a mission, and a vision. We also have a provocative point of view. But our vision is to inspire and provide innovation for today's business leaders. And if you see something kind of ironic about that, I don't know if you can see it on my book, but it's today's business leaders on the cover of my book as well. Create ongoing partnerships that are instrumental in building businesses for a better world. I think we can always improve. And our mission is to cultivate and identify remote-based, dedicated, distant assistants for business leaders who want to build deep personal relationships with real human beings. Again, I'm going back to that real human beings. I didn't just pick that out of the air. It's human. It's the human beings. That's what we're here for. Our provocative point of view is stop doing the wrong things so you can focus on your best work. Document, 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 delegate. Document, 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 delegate. Focus on what you do best, what brings you the most joy in the world, and find somebody else. For me, I hate numbers, I hate bookkeeping, but I delegate that to our bookkeeper. Our bookkeeper loves accounting. She loves accounting. I don't understand it, but she loves it. Guess what? She's thriving in that aspect of the business that kills me. I say, just give me the Cliff Notes. Please, no math. And she loves it. So that's what I say. I find somebody that really thrives and that aligns with your vision, your mission, your core values, and your provocative point of view.
One thing that I would like to comment, and maybe you agree. It's when you are a CEO in a bigger company, like you cannot go and talk to everybody down there, but you can select some levels. That's one thing. But the thing that I think should be remembered, and what processes, let's say, a little may help you in is somehow I've never seen a company that had a mission and vision like we need to make the most money, from everybody, and the vision we will rip off our employees, investors, and everybody else in the meantime, and the environment in the meantime. All right, it's not a mission and vision, and somehow you go down. And you very often get the feeling that that's the mission and vision of the company. That's the decision, let's say, making is oriented not if you achieve mission and vision, but if it's profitable. Okay, businesses need to be profitable. The question is, why do you have mission and vision? So if you are an engaged CEO, if you want to get energy out of people, make sure that mission and vision of company, if you don't believe it, change it. But if you do, make sure that every step down, this is something which is your value statement, something which is the priority, is are we in alignment with our mission and vision? Because if you will instill the need of creating maximal profit, what you will get is people who work for you for money, and trying to engage them with fruity Thursdays might be a bit harder than you may expect. The times changed.
Absolutely. I don't know. And I think it was Walmart's mission statement, like it said, to save people money or something like that. And I was like, why would you even, money should be no part of any mission or vision.
M word.
Yeah. It baffles me. How do you improve a human being's life? How do you take away their pain? What is it that you can do to make this human being's life better here on earth? Like, what is that? And if you can find that, holy cow, I don't care what you do, you're providing a service. For you guys do systems and processes. A lot of people find that painful. They do the act of doing, right? Or not knowing where to start. You go in and you kind of say, well, we need to gather some data, and then that'll kind of help us learn which direction we need to go and what we need to do. Like I would assume it would be something along those lines. There's got to be some way of, you guys are the get them started type, wherein these people in businesses, they're so busy focusing on their own little world, they don't know how to get started. That's why they hire you. They need to go out and have you come in and support them and guide them and do what's right. Because why? It's not their cup of tea. It should be very important to them, but they don't know how to do it. And they need to become super effective and more efficient because they're growing, or whatever their KPIs are. That's why they reach out to you guys, because you guys are the expert. It's the same thing in every role. You need to reach out to whoever's good working in that role. And here's the other thing. If you're a big CEO and you have thousands of people, obviously you can't have one-on-ones with everybody. But how do you know that vision's carrying on? Well, every single meeting we do, every single one starts off with a reading of our vision and mission and a provocative point of view. Every single one, top of mind, every single time. It's super critical because we believe in it. But what's more than that is train those that you can trust to go train other people and figure that out. I don't do all the trainings here. We have some great people on board, but I know they're carrying through with this vision and mission. There's some people in our organization that are external to us. They work for our clients. I've never met them. It pains me, but it's physically impossible for me to meet everybody. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I see the reviews that we get on people that we've hired and what they say about Bottleneck, and it's pretty amazing. We actually do videos, and we're like, just tell us the truth. What did you think? And then we post their responses online as social proof. And I think if that's a way that you can kind of infect, for the lack of a better term, infect your company with the goodness that it is, and that message will carry through.
Yeah, all right.
On this note, I would really like to thank you, Jaime. This has been really very educational, very, very inspiring. And that's all we have time for. So as always, let's hope it was of use to someone. Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out podcasts mentioned by Jaime Jay in this episode. Data Gurus with Seema Vasa, whose mission it is to bring you a real-life perspective on what's happening in the data industry and how successful companies and individuals in this niche navigate through the sea of change.
Then there are 2 podcasts by Christopher Lockhead, Follow Your Different and Lockhead on Marketing, voted #1 dialogue and marketing podcast respectively. Described by the author as podcasts for people who want to design legendary businesses and legendary lives. As usual, all links to the references will be available in the notes to this episode.
Also, don't miss the next one, where we will be discussing the idea of data mesh with the co-author of an excellent book, Data Mesh in Action, my co-host, Dr. Siwek.
Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or visit vidia.show to find out more about future episodes and guests. You can also check out cognition.llc for more information on Cognition Shared Solutions, our services, and other events hosted by us.
For now, it's thank you from myself, Artur Guja, and my co-host, your friendly neighborhood data guy, Dr. Marian Siwek.
Thank you and goodbye.